When is the best time to decide? When should I study to hit the highest score on a test? When should I answer math tests to attain a high score? When should I be writing my novel to gain a lot of inspiration? When am I most productive? When am I most capable of doing meaningful and challenging tasks? We know that timing is essential, but we don't have any knowledge of timing itself. All we do is get stuck with our everyday when, but never really finding the answers to it. In this book, we will see how Daniel Pink proves that timing is not an art but a science. To do that, we need to begin with time itself. As we travel back into history, we can see that seconds, minutes, and hours are not natural. Humans made all of these things, including weeks, months, and years. However, only one thing remains true, and it is the concept of day and night. The first part of this book will unravel the hidden patterns embedded in our everyday life. You will also learn your energy cycle per day and the activities you must do at each specific time. Lastly, you will also explore the beautiful concept of beginnings, midpoints, and endings. Many people don't recognize when questions as crucial as what questions. This is the main reason why we never realize the patterns embedded in our everyday life. In a world full of what, are you ready to answer your when? The hidden part of everyday life. Every living creature has its internal biological clocks, which play a vital role in maintaining balance in one's life. This clock creates hidden patterns that explains how we feel and perform in our daily lives. Each person does not perform on the same level of energy in every part of the day. We all conform to patterns we cannot see, and we don't even realize it. Most of us still believe that the cycle of the day revolves around morning, afternoon, and evening. However, Daniel Pink introduced a new cycle of day for everyone, which corresponds to our energy level. These are morning peaks, afternoon troughs, and evening rebounds. Morning peaks are where we are our best selves. This is when we are the most intelligent, most active, and most analytical. Our energy is on the highest level, which allows us to focus on the task at hand. Afternoon troughs are the complete opposite of morning peaks. This is where we have the lowest energy, and we cannot be trusted to make important decisions. This usually happens 7 hours after waking up. This is the part of the day where we can't focus so much. Evening rebounds are our energy's comeback. However, we cannot be brilliant and highly analytical at this stage. This is the part of our day where our brain cannot protect us from distractions. However, this pattern is not the same for every single person. Since we all have different internal clocks, we could also have different cycles. These cycles are categorized into 3 chronotypes. These chronotypes are called the larks, the owls, and the third birds. Larks are considered the morning people, those who are productive in the morning. The cycle of their energy per day is as follows: morning peaks, afternoon trough, and evening rebound. Owls are those we call late starters. They are the people who are most active at night, and they are the opposite of larks. Their energy throughout the day goes from morning rebound, afternoon trough, and evening peak. 60 to 80% of the population belongs to the last chronotype, the third bird, which lies in the middle. Third birds are not as early to wake up as larks, but not late like owls as well. It is essential to know which chronotype you belong because it will help us improve our performance every day. Here is an example. Linda's problem is a well-known example of reasoning named conjunction fallacy. So the conjunction fallacy is actually a type of reasoning where someone chooses an option with more specific details instead of a general statement. This usually happens because, well, folks tend to think that a really detailed option must be the best answer. Now, respondents were given the Linda problem at different times of the day, specifically at 9 in the morning and 8 in the evening. Let me share the problem with you, and feel free to try answering it yourself. Linda is a 31-year-old college student majoring in philosophy. She enjoys discussing discrimination and social justice, and she's an active participant in organizations that promote these causes. So what do you think about Linda? Here are your choices. Option A, she is a bank teller. Or option B, she is a bank teller and an active participant in the feminist movement. Now, most people would have chosen option B because our minds just love to make shortcuts and pick out specific information. Just like I mentioned earlier about the conjunction fallacy. Intuitively, since option B sounds more detailed and matches the description I gave about Linda, a lot of people go for B, but actually the correct answer is option A. The Linda problem isn't about facts, truth, or opinion. It's really a test of logic. Saying that the bank teller is also an active participant in the feminist movement is sort of like saying a bank teller hates vegetables. It's just a subset of bank tellers, and a subset can never be bigger than the whole set. Interestingly, this research found that most people who answered A were those who took the survey in the morning. So what does this result imply? The Linda problem is, well, logical. It really requires analysis and concentration. This is an easy question for someone on his peak stage, where he is most analytical and intelligent. People who have answered it correctly focused on the question itself and not on unnecessary information like the active participant of feminist movement. If each one of us had the same cycle and chronotype, then everyone would have gotten the correct answer at the same time in the Linda problem. Most people got the correct answer in the morning, and some also got the correct answer in the evening. This just shows to prove that we have different energy levels at other times of the day. Larks would have had a higher probability of getting the correct answer at their morning peak. Owls would have answered it correctly at their evening peak. Third birds could have answered it somewhere in the middle. The Linda problem shows how vital it is to know your internal clock and chronotype. Because of this, we can answer some of our basic when questions. We will know when is the best time to solve math problems, write a novel, and do any critical task. The power of breaks, the promise of lunch, and the case for a modern siesta. The trough is the stage where you must not trust yourself with critical decision-making. A trough is also a dangerous stage where one must not engage. A survey even proved that one person's most inefficient time is at 2:55 p.m. Afternoons, where troughs are present, are often regarded as the Bermuda Triangle, especially in hospitals. Research on 90,000 surgeries conducted at Duke Medical Center showed that most anesthesiologists made mistakes that can harm their patients between 3 and 4 p.m. Most hospital employees also fail to do proper hygiene at the later part of the day. According to the data, there are 600,000 unnecessary infections and 35,000 unnecessary deaths over hospitals per year at this specific time of the day. This improper hygiene and conditions show how grave the consequences are in hospital afternoon troughs. One great takeaway you can get from this book is never to set foot or even set an appointment at the hospital in the afternoon. Knowing the intensity of the impact of afternoon troughs, Daniel Pink presents some guide to show us the activities we should use to avoid the trap of the trough. The primary antidote for afternoon troughs is just taking a break. Now, it might seem like taking a break makes you unproductive. However, it's actually the complete opposite of it. Here are some examples. Students who take a break for 10 to 20 minutes prove to increase their test scores as if they've spent 3 additional weeks in school. On the other hand, if students don't take a break, they would most likely fail the test as if they spent less time at school and didn't study well. However, going for a walkout in fresh air is beneficial to restore cognitive alertness, thus producing higher scores. Breakfast is not the most important meal of the day. It is lunch, more specifically lunch breaks. Lunch breaks in between complex tasks are beneficial to bring high-quality services. Lunch breaks are powerful because it gives 2 powerful components, which are autonomy and detachment. Autonomy shows control over yourself when rules do not limit you. These rules tell you precisely what, when, whom, and how to do things. You overcome them and gain focus. Temporary detachment is where you are separated from your office or desk or station. This kind of detachment, has actually been shown to positively affect employees as they divert their attention from work to other things, like relaxation. Naps, for example, also improve someone's overall health. People who take naps are 37% less likely to experience heart disease. Naps can also improve our immune system and, even reduce blood pressure. However, some people don't do naps the right way. Taking a nap for over 20 minutes can produce many benefits, but you might also experience something called sleep inertia. That's the dizzy, cloudy feeling after waking up. The ideal nap runs between 10 minutes to 20 minutes, and it brings positive effects for the next 3 hours. The trough is a dangerous trap for people who are not aware of it, but anyone who knows about it can actually use it to their advantage. Starting right, starting again, and starting together. Some people suffer because they started badly. Therefore, it's really essential to know when to start right, start again, and start together. This chapter will explore the beauty of beginnings and help you understand when to start some significant changes and milestones in our lives. Daniel Pink will welcome you to the start of the 3 things: start right, start again, and start together. Here's an example of applying these methods. Teenagers who start school before 8:30 in the morning are shown to have decreased their grades and compromised their health. So, it gravely affects the percentage of success they would have in the future. The evidence of deterioration is powerful, which is why the American Academy of Pediatrics issues a policy that says that middle and high schools should start class only from 8:35 in the morning or onwards. The schools that followed the policy witnessed a fantastic improvement with their students. Tardiness declined. Students earned higher grades, especially in core subjects like math, English, science, and social studies. 2 years after the implementation, the 8:30 in the morning rule also increased graduation rates by more than 11%. These statistics show just how powerful the starting right method is. By simply changing the starting class hour, the results lasted for a long time. Aside from starting right, we should also know the method of starting again. Now and then, we encounter a stumbling block that inspires us to do better and make it right. The first day of the year is one of the most popular temporal landmarks of people, as scientists called it. Temporal landmarks are one's own and personal commitment to start the change in his or her life. There are two types of temporal landmarks, social and personal. Social landmarks are what everyone shares, such as the beginning of the week or the month, and it can also include holidays. Personal landmarks, on the other hand, are unique specifically to someone, like birthdays and anniversaries. These temporal landmarks are vital to helping us recover from bad beginnings and inspire us to start again. For example, the bucket list we make every start of the year. It could also be the date where we commit to starting the novel we've been dreaming of. All of these are the result of a desire to start the change. Thus, start again is also a powerful method to explore the beauty of beginnings. The third method is starting together. There are, bad beginnings that are just really hard to avoid. Like, for example, graduating in a year when the economy is down or being in the hospital in July when there's a significant increase in death. With these kinds of beginnings, it's tough to apply the first two methods, starting right and start again. So that's why we use the Start Together method. There's a national program called Nurse-Family Partnership that allows nurses to visit low-income neighborhoods with young mothers who have just had their newborn child. These young mothers are people who just can't stand this life alone. They need people who can help them to start again and start right. We know that beginnings are super important. But it's not always beautiful. Being a teenage mom is not always beautiful. So, having some people they know they can depend on and ask for help really makes them feel like they're not alone in this world, and that they have hope for the future. In conclusion, we all know that taking the first step is always the most challenging step in a journey. But knowing some methods like starting right, start again, and start together methods, well, it answers one of our most complex when. Midpoints. There are two things midpoints can give us. It can only be either a slump that brings us down, or a spark that lifts us. Hanukkah is a holiday celebrated by the Jews. During this season, they have a traditional box of Hanukkah which contains 44 candles. For 8 consecutive days, people must light their candles each day. As the researchers have observed, 76% of the participants light the candle on the first night. However, it dropped by 55% on the second night. On the following days, less than half of the participants light the candle. But on the last day, it reached 50% again. Researchers found that people believe that lighting the candles on the first and last days is the only thing that matters. People believe that when you light the candle in these days, you will be recognized as religious. Therefore, since humans are naturally people pleasers, we want to appear religious. What matters for them is to light the first or the last day. The middle didn't matter much. Middle points always show a slump. No matter what activities we do, we tend to lower our motivation and energy in the middle. Since it was already a universal agreement, middle didn't matter much. Now, how do middle points give a spark? A scholar named Connie Gersick researched one group of business students. These students were given 11 days to study a case and prepare a paper that explains all about it. In the first 5 days, the teammates didn't pay much attention to the work at hand. However, on the 6th day, they started thinking that they are short of time. From the 6th day onwards, the students felt a sense of urgency and therefore stopped their initial nonsense conversation about the topic and focused on their work. Their sense of urgency builds up in the middle of their task. This is called the uh-oh effect, since the deadline is near. This time the middle didn't decrease their motivation. Instead, it increased their motivation. Every time we reach the middle, we can only go down or go up. Sometimes the middle demotivates us, but sometimes it also pushes us to do things. Most people don't appreciate middle points, but it is as relevant as the beginning and the ending. Marathons, chocolates, and the power of poignancy. Just like beginnings and midpoints, endings also hold an essential place in our lives. Endings give us motivation. It makes us value what we have. It helps us filter people and makes us understand what matters. Here are some examples of how endings help us. Social psychologists conduct a study at the University of Michigan. They are Ed O'Brien and Phoebe Ellsworth. They made students taste new kinds of Hershey Kisses with local ingredients. However, their fundamental objective is to know how endings influence the students' judgment. They set up tables and asked the students to rate the Hershey Kisses from 1 to 10. The researchers have two different groups for giving the last chocolate. For one group, researchers would say, "Here is your next chocolate." For the other group, they would say, "Here is your last chocolate." So those people who believed that it was the last chocolate tended to enjoy the previous chocolate more than other chocolates by 64%. Compared to the other group, they also liked the last chocolate more by 22%. This really shows how endings can affect our judgment. The students who knew it was the last chocolate favored it more because, the idea of ending kind of clouded their minds. Sometimes our minds focus more on the ending itself and not really on the process anymore. This is, well, a sad yet powerful truth, and the screenwriters at Pixar really understand the meaning of endings as well. They know that the best endings aren't always about happy endings. In fact, they argued that anyone could create a happy ending, but not everyone can create a meaningful one. Pixar movies like Up and Inside Out always show how the protagonist fights for their goal and achieves it. However, in the end, they permanently abandon the things they initially want to get what they actually need. The ending is not beautiful just because it ends happily. It's beautiful because it gives meaning. See how Mr. Fredrickson gives up his house so that he can save Russell? Or how Bing Bong lets go of the rocket so that Joy can make it to the top. Endings can either be good or bad. Sometimes we focus too much on the ends themselves that we fail to see the whole picture. Life is not just about the ending. It is also about the process of ending. Life is not just about death, but the meaning we create while we are living. Just like the beginning and midpoints, endings are not always good. However, endings reveal something essential in each person's journey. It's the true meaning and purpose of one's life story. Conclusion. In this book, you have learned the science of timing and the importance of when questions. You now understand the hidden patterns of everyday life and the cycle we encounter, such as the peak, the trough, and the rebound. You also knew the different chronotypes humans have, such as the larks or morning people, the owls, the night active person, and the third bird, which lies in the middle. You also found out the effect of troughs on people and how to avoid falling into the trap. You also understand the power of beginnings, of starting right, starting again, and starting together. You knew the importance of midpoints and realized how midpoints can turn into a slump or a spark. You also explored the meaning of endings in different situations. You learned how significant endings are in our lives. Before you've read this book, you might have been so insecure about yourself. Of the things you can't do, of the times you force yourself to be productive, of the times you wish to know when to answer, to start, and when to stop. Now you understand that it isn't just you. It's about the things you didn't know. Life is hard already. Don't let it push you around as it did before. Know yourself, improve yourself, and support yourself. Now that your when is answered, are you ready to step up the game? If you love this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content. Thank you for watching.